Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax. Let's do this.
What is going on, everybody? I'm your host, Adam Pross, and I welcome you to the River Run Podcast. Yeah, we are here again. What is going on? How's everybody doing? I gotta talk about one thing here, and I meant to do this, I don't know, the last one. The Kayak Angler magazine, the summer edition. I am honored to be on page 10 with there I am right there. I know. It's a small one, but it's something. I think it's really cool. And like there's a whole bunch of great anglers in here. Well, here's another Paddle and Fin member right here, Mr. Dustin Nichols. It's cool. I'm always been a big fan of the Kayak Angler magazine. For years. And thank you for accepting my photo and putting me in there. I thought it was super cool. So my kids thought it was cool too. But so Kayak Angler magazine, if you want any more photos, it's really easy. You just send them in. And if there's probably a lot of people sending them in, but if you make the cut like I did for this one after many years of trying. So yeah. Another thing too, the Kayak Adventure Series has invited all of us with his 2026 schedule, which is really cool. It's going to pump out, all the way from Tallahassee, Florida, and it's going to go all the way down to Clarksville, Tennessee. It runs from March all the way till next September. So yeah, check it out. kayakadventureseries.com is always the place to be. That's where you find out all the info. I know that they're still trying to work out the Indiana one, which is the Midwest, but yeah, check it out. kayakadventureseries.com. It's got all the info there. Another thing too, don't forget, just as Jubro Fishing is one of the main take care of all of our listeners, including me. Use the listener code. In that listener code, save yourself 10% at checkout. The Do More Utility Cup. If you don't already have one in your kayak, I really suggest you go and put one in there, because you'll just say, Adam, thank you for telling me that one, because it is a really handy cup to have. Also, the fine folks over at Yak Attack, God, that crossbar looks pretty sweet. Jackson Kayaks, Hard Knocks Kayak Fishing, which this is cool. My guest tonight, he is Thomas Paleczny. If you don't know Thomas, you might know his Instagram, which is River Smallies Ontario. Kayak Fishing Ontario being represented tonight. Hard Knocks Kayak Fishing is another group to get with. Steve Ite and his daughter Paige, who I just want to touch on this. So I've known Steve and Paige for quite some time, and I hold them both dearly. They're fantastic human beings, but Paige has been rocking it. Every time I see this girl on Instagram, Facebook, her dad is pumping pictures of her in the kayak, and she's out there kayak fishing. You know what? I just want to say to all the parents out there who are getting their kids out there for fishing, kayaking, whatever it is, hunting, hiking, spending time outdoors. My hat goes off to you, because you know what? You're teaching these kids something that, video games just won't. And don't forget paddle and fin. Yeah, this wouldn't be possible without them. So needless to say, go check out Paddle and Fin. You know where to find them: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We are all there. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just wanted to say that my guest tonight, Mr. Thomas Paleczny, is here with me right now. Thomas, how's it going, dude?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I just want to say thank you very much for taking time to come on the podcast. I know we had kind of spoke about doing this in the first season, but no, man, we had to get you on. You are well, I'll let you introduce yourself, and you can we'll go from there.
All right. Well, I'm Thomas Paleczny. I like to fish for smallmouth bass in rivers. I'm not that great on lakes, but you put me on moving water, and I'm at home.
Yeah, I think it's, to be honest with you, I think you're pretty proficient at river smallmouth fishing, because I don't know if anybody else in Canada has done this. I think it is possible, but last year you became one of the bronze masters through the Achigan's Smallie game. So I think that's something very notable there that you have completed, and you did it in pretty significant time here. Like we got to touch on this. How did that go?
It was a matter of just knowing my rivers well enough that I know where those fish would be depending on the season. As I have 4 months, and compared to everyone else, to really get those things done. They're starting in March. I'm not starting until the end of June. So I started planning it. I did what challenges I could, because they were doing challenges before that. It was go pick up trash was one of them, catch multiple species was another, and it was just getting out to do the challenges. But then when it came to catching those fish and just working every second I could when I was off to take advantage of the time. So I had one entire river that I just took to myself and worked the entire thing.
Now, just curious, you have done multiple tournament, I believe, correct? You usually would have done OKBT with the Ontario Kayak Bass Trail.
Yeah, I did OKBT, but I've never really done that well. I think I came in 5th once, and then it was just a lot of very poor goes. I don't pre-fish any of these. I don't understand the lakes. Once I can get onto a current bite, I'm okay. Once I can find that kind of a idea of how that water's moving, I can get somewhere. But so there's that. But what I really enjoy is those week-long or weekend challenges where I can get onto my water or get onto a river and kind of put that to work for me and use my knowledge of rivers to my advantage there.
If it were to be that, live tournaments, I like live tournaments, don't get me wrong. It is fun. You go there, the commodity's usually good, everybody gets together. But these weekend tournaments where they're online or the week-long challenges, it's pretty interesting watching people throw up inches there. You can you get on a pretty decent honey hole, and it's you have surpassed the leaderboard at that point. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think the exciting part about it is you can be for example, I can be on a small river, no wider than a highway, and I'm taking on guys fishing Lake St. Clair, guys fishing Simcoe, and some of the most storied bodies of water, and here I am on basically a creek.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping up with them or doing better than them. That's, for me, that's the kind of feeling you get every once in a while. You go, something else. It really is different.
Now, before we dive like right into the whole like Smalley games thing, let's just go back here. Like, what brought you, like, was fishing something you've had always done, or was it something that you kind of got into later in life? Like, how did the passion for Smallies kind of come to you?
That goes two ways. So fishing was always kind of a background. My dad was a hunter for deer and moose. Him and his partner, Bill, they work together. They'd sit at the table. They'd go over everything. How do they feed? How do they work? How does this happen? And it was just this idea of hunting kind of got into my head, learning how prey works.
Yeah.
From there, that kind of died off for a bit. Then when I met my now wife, her parents had a farm on the Maitland River. And I'd go back there. I'm like, well, let's get a rod and reel and just have some fun back here, have something to do while we're up on the farm. And I caught a smallmouth. And that started something. This is back in 2002, 2003. And I was looking for a way to explore more of this water. And I found riversmallies.com, and that led me to Jeff Little and these guys who were fishing from kayaks at the time. So I'm like, okay, go out, get a kayak, and then I could really start exploring these waters and putting the hunting side of things to work, understanding the forage, understanding how they move, understanding what do the bigger ones do different than the smaller ones. So it all kind of started working together, and that's where I look at what I do more as hunting than fishing a lot of the time.
So this is like before the world got their copy of the Mighty Smallmouth. This was like, so riversmallies.com it's a very legendary forum, for river anglers. There's a lot of prestigious names that have come from there, and now, if you go to guys like even like Travis Myers, Jeff Little, you go as far as Matt Leo, to God, like I'm probably dropping, I could probably drop a couple more names, but that, to go on there and actually have a forum where you're like, you guys, you're talking about like, what, it's a lot different from what it is now. Like now, you can go all over social media, you can go on YouTube, you can do this, you can do that. People are constantly throwing up things, but to go on a forum and actually have it where it's like, well, today out on the river, and like if you look at the in-fisherman journals that they have you seen those where
I think I've read some of Travis Myers stuff. He's kind of the one, when I look at that whole idea of a Mount Rushmore of river fishing, he's kind of right up there for me. He's the one you want to be. He's the average guy who you want to be. The things he's done and what he's achieved, it's kind of that thing. So yeah.
Travis is like that man is a wealth of knowledge. And I've sat on podcasts with him before, and I have had the chance to chat with him back and forth online, and like, he's definitely he's got the time put in, and he's always, if you have a question, he's always like, like this is how I do, and but back then, this is what you guys had, was riversmallies.com.
So you had a lot of guides on there. You had guides, just the experience that was on that forum was amazing. Like you could just go in and just small things you were seeing then we're just rediscovering now. And it was pretty unreal what they were doing back then.
What about this whole idea? So your first smallmouth, you go back there, like, do you remember what you caught it on?
That would have been just a little black and silver Big O. The smallest size. It was on an ultralight rod, a Babazumi signature series with the Sedona. I still have that rod downstairs. And honestly, I still have the kayak I bought shortly after sitting on my rack out back.
Jesus. And it's like I said, it's one of those things, and it probably still works very well today. Like
Yeah.
do you still actually use it from time to time?
Not as much. I can do. I've had the kayak out a few times. I do need to get out and do some ultralight fishing. I want to go out for some panfish still. I want to go with some crappie or something. Go have some fun with that.
That now, as you begin to find more about smallmouth fishing, and you got your kayak, obviously this sparked some sort of passion and this interest. And what did you find? Like, what did you find now? Like, what was the experience like going from being like on shore to being like now like out there? Like that had to be different. Like if you've never fished from a kayak before, because I remember the first time I went out and I fished out of a canoe. I was all over the place. And then I remember the first time I went out in a kayak and I was just like it was almost more comforting than being in this canoe, which I could technically take more things with me in the canoe. But what I found was fishing out of the kayak was actually more like I felt a little more confident in it. I felt like more secure in it. And like I've gone on some big bodies of water, and at the same time, I've always loved small rivers. But that's how it was for me, and I remember going out there and I had like next to nothing with me, like not like what I would take today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for me it was you get far enough down that river and you realize for the first time that you're alone out there.
Yep.
And it's this feeling of just it's just you.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And it was such a weird feeling because I'm sitting that close to the water, and it was just an unreal experience. And that really stuck with me.
And for me, it's like I'm always out there, and it's like my place to go and escape to. It's for me, it's to get out there, and I'm like, I'm just the only one out there. But yeah, it's no bigger than like you said, like a highway. You know what I mean? Like it is no wider than that. You could easily go from one side to the other. It's not like going to a lake where you got a 30, 40, maybe 2-minute track, 2-hour track all across the river. This is like a quick paddle across, and that was the one thing for me that always stuck with me when it came to river fishing was I loved to paddle. Like that was and I've learned that's really how I taught myself to do it. I watched a lot of videos. Like you said, Jeff Little was always been probably one of my biggest influences, but it was teaching myself like how to get through this, and what am I bringing with me? And as I got further into it, because like I didn't get into it and as early as you did, I got into, especially I fished my entire life, but I got into kayak fishing or fishing out of a kayak, 2014. So for me, it was, an opportunity to be like, well, it'd be cool to go out in a boat, but you got kayaks and canoes here. So let's make this work at the cottage. You know what I mean? Like you can just go out there by yourself.
And I think for me, it's not about fishing with other people. That being by myself is just the best part. I can go out and I can paddle upstream for 5 kilometers and float back just to see what's up there.
Yeah, it's such a, I don't know, it's a very personal, I find it to be a very personal experience. And a lot of people, like, especially after my accident, were like, well, you just fish by yourself. Like, but that's like, I don't know, like, it's what I do. Like, it's how I like to go out there and fish. Like, hey, if you're like, hey, dude, you want to go fishing tomorrow? I'd be like, yeah, man, for sure. And like, hey, you want to come out and fish with me? Yeah, for sure. But like, I don't know. Most of the times, like I said, I go out there and it's just me. And there's the odd time where I cross paths. But the biggest thing I enjoy the most about river fishing is I don't cross paths with boats ever. Yeah. I have not crossed paths. Like, I shouldn't say that. I did cross paths with a guy who had a square back canoe there with the little electric motor on the back, but other than that, and he wasn't even fishing, he was just going down the river. Like you don't have that. So as you got further into it, like, I don't know if this is for me, like, I remember the first time that I caught a smallmouth and it was out of my kayak. And like, I've caught largemouth, and pike and panfish, but the smallmouth, it was like towing me. It was going in circles. It was jumping around. It was like, I was like, is this thing ever going to stop? And
Yeah.
after that, I remember getting it, like, I finally getting into the net, and like, I get this thing, and it's just like, it's flopping all over the place, like, and I'm like, what? Like, this thing has so much, look at this thing has ADHD, like, it just can't stop. Like, what is going on here?
Yep.
And I remember just kind of like looking at it, and I was like, wow. And I was like, put that thing back. And I was just like, I love catching these things. And I can't tell you the amount of times that I go out there and I relive that all the time when I catch one, because it is just that much. The excitement is there. Like, I have no interest to catch anything else. Like, it's just river smallmouth for me. No. And it's
here's
amazing.
The thing. Yeah. When you think about it, you have a fish that doesn't stink to high heaven. No. It has a built-in handle. That lower jaw is perfect to pick them up with. They're going to fight. They're not made of paper. You can catch them. You can actually get out there and enjoy it. It's just the perfect fish to go for. And I've always looked at it that way. It's just ideal.
Well, and it's that they don't ever stop. Like, the moment you hook them, it's like they don't know. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna rip this rod out of his hand. I'm gonna shear this line. I can do whatever I need to do. And it's like, man, you have like 2 treble hooks in your face. There is no chance of you going anywhere. And it's like, it amazes me. Like, even the ones I was catching the other weekend, like, I was throwing a topwater spook, and I was just casting it out there, and I was using this Russ Snyder's rod that I purchased this year, and it's like literally replaced 3 other rods with one rod. And I was just seeing what I could throw on it, and I was like, let's throw some topwater. It's fall, why not? So here it was, and man, I couldn't get over. Like, they were just launching themselves at it, and then what would happen? The fight. And it was just like, I go right back to that first smallmouth right there, and it's just like I'm reliving it again. And the fight is just, it's the best fight. Like, I don't know how to explain it otherwise, And for me, that's why it's just
you're getting soaked at this. It's kicking water up at you every time it comes near you. It's digging down. It's just a completely different feeling to anything else that's out there.
And whether you weight it or you fish it from the bank or whatever, but I know for me, like, I've spent a lot of time waiting this past season because the water's just been so low. And as I said, like, my kayak is really just my shuttle or my taxi to, the next hole. Like, it is such a fun experience. And I even have one where I released it. It was just a little guy, but like, I threw him back in there, and he like swam in between my feet, and he just hung out there. Like, he was just like, yeah. And I'm like, man, is this like Finding Nemo right now? Like, fish are our friends. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those things. I was just like, I don't know. Like, I guess the smallies really like me or something, Like, thanks for letting me go,
I've had them crawl up under the kayak. It's just so neat how they operate. You get onto, I don't know if you've ever gotten onto a really clear river, and you can watch the smallmouth just darting out all over the place. You're just looking there everywhere. And it's just so neat.
So last year in the Adirondacks, I fished a river on my way home, and it was it was really clear. And as I was going, I could begin to see, like, just gone. I was like, oh, what was that? And then whoop, another one's gone. And it was like, like, that thing was literally underneath my kayak. Like, it was so cool. And it was just, so as you continued on with this passion for smallmouth, like, it like when did like how like what began to evolve? Like you like what I can see just like from us talking in social media, like you gotten into quite a few kayaks, you landed some very prestigious smallmouth, and you also gotten into the bigger baits, which is cool.
Yeah.
But you've also begun to now kind of give back to the community, and you have your own YouTube channel, River Smallies Ontario, and you put out great videos of your adventures.
Yeah. Honestly, I found that Ontario didn't really have that river smallmouth or a lot of the just going out and fishing content. We had a lot of people who were going out and putting the videos out with a bit of the exciting flair to it, but just a simple fishing video wasn't out there. I kind of wanted to bring that. I'm like, come along on this adventure, come see what happens. And I kind of want to push that further, but that was the whole idea. This is what it's like. This is what we have here. Check it out. I mean, it's just an amazing place to be.
And I will say this, like you have quite a few videos, and if you haven't checked out Thomas's page, check out it's youtube.com/@river smallmouth on O as in Ontario, so ON. But you got quite a few videos, and like I like some of your challenges videos that you do, like the one that you had where you were throwing the mag draft, and then there was also the what is that one called?
The little one. Yep.
Yeah, the
Chatterbait Flashback Mini.
Yes, that was it. And
so it's literally nothing to that bait. There's nothing to that. That Flashback Mini is a thumbnail.
And like if you watch your videos, like you've gone from and you got like, for instance, your latest one, which is the bass opener video, which like I said to you in the comments, I waited. I was like waiting for this. Like you've captured the audience, because we can just like, oh, like is it going to be a big one? Like what's going? Oh no, it's these, and you've got ones too where you have like 3 over 20. Like your river produces like large smallmouth.
Yeah, so the rivers around here are just that way. Like you have the 3 biggest rivers, the 3 best smallmouth rivers we have around here are the Saugeen, the Maitland, and the Grand. They're the 3 that everyone knows that historically were very well known. As time has gone on, we don't get the same press that a lot of the state side rivers do. And even people around here don't fish them anymore. Like these were rivers that you don't see as many people out there. You'll see the guys float fishing for the steelhead, or you might see some fly guys out there, but you don't see too many other people on these rivers fishing anymore.
Now, are these mostly like trout rivers?
Traditionally, yes. But if you go back in the history of fly fishing, they are very well known for the smallmouth. But that part got forgotten.
Interesting, eh? That's like, do you think, like, because you like, and not only you, but even like, I believe Adam Merrifield, who fishes the Grand River too, does he not?
Yeah, he does. We fish a lot of the same water. So it's basically him and I are in this area, and you don't see other people who take it seriously, who are targeting the smallmouth in the same way.
So if you were to go out, what would be like, just on this topic here of going back to the baits, what is your favorite bait to catch smallmouth on?
One that I will have tied on, I have it here. It's the flashy swimmer, and with the jackall rhythm wave. Very simple bait. Single hook. When I'm in the middle of nowhere, I want a single hook or I want one treble hook. And then the chatterbait of mine of choice is the CFL Freedom.
Nice.
That football head
Yeah.
I can grind that along the rocks without any problems, and then it's got that swing and free on the back there, so it floats up and just kind of gets some extra action out there when it is grinding on those rocks. Between those two, that can be my entire summer. I could just throw those and be just fine.
Now, if it were to be that, when because you have kayaks, like, and you've kind of gotten into the whole crescent kayaks, because you did a video too on your crescent kayaks, which I believe is the CK1, the smallie, and the ultralight.
Correct.
And now it's kind of cool, you got 3, so you can kind of pick, but how do you strategically pick like the ones you're going to use, like based on like, the float, the style of float you want to do?
It's exactly
judging by the access point.
It's access points. It's what I know of how deep that river is at that time, what the wind's going to be like, and what I'm planning on doing. If I'm doing a longer float and I know I'm doing some shallower water, I'll arrange a pickup and I'll bring that smallie out and really just go through the whole thing. The smallie will float higher. It has less draft. It has a lower draft than the other ones. I can go to the CK1. It's my favorite in the fall. This time of year, it's absolutely number one for me because I'm out on that. It's sealed hull. It'll go all day like that. The ultralight, if I've been working all week and I just want to get out and I have absolutely no energy left, but I want to get out and fish, that thing's coming out first.
Now, if you were to take, like, you have your YouTube channel and whatnot, you're bringing back this style of video shooting where it's just like you're going out there. Just curious, do you keep the camera on your head usually, or is it are you keeping
it's on my head? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now
it's always on my head. I like that style more. I'm not the chesty. My problem with the chesty is you do not feel connected to it. I find the head mount, you feel connected to what's going on around you. You are looking where that person's looking. You're kind of getting their next thought. You're kind of seeing how they're thinking, how they're approaching things. It just feels better. It's more immersive. It's more engaging for the people who are watching.
And so you started your channel. You have 32 videos on this channel. As you bring back, because I kind of feel like with your videos, you're kind of bringing back the idea of like the River Smallies forms, but kind of in like a video form. If River Smallies had the YouTube channel, I feel like that's what it would be.
It's closer to that. Is that you want that feeling? You want to see the knowledge being put into action. You want to see where, okay, you can see a small break in the current where I'm throwing into, or you can see an eddy I'm working along, or whatever's going on there. You can see it happening in front of you, and you have that. There's a bit of education. It can be very entertaining depending on how active those fish are that day.
Oh yeah.
But it's that engagement end of it that really comes out of that for everything.
Your favorite YouTubers?
My personal favorite ones.
Yeah.
Going back, you're going to have Jeff Little there no matter what.
100%.
He's the one who teaches you everything. He's your educator.
He really is.
Like, for me, I was having pain in my back a couple years ago from paddling. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I was watching one of his videos and he's talking about shortening your paddle. Your paddle's too long. I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. I'm in a smaller kayak. I'm in this more narrow kayak. I'm not in this huge, wide fishing kayak. So I went and I got a 230 centimeter fishing. It felt so much better. There's that. I'll watch ND Yak Angler.
Yeah.
He was really, when I saw he kind of inspired the whole head mount thing, because I went, that's it. That's the idea I want to capture, but not quite the exact messaging I want to bring across. I want to kind of have that feeling of that adventure in it still.
Now, that would be Matt Nelson, I believe.
Correct.
Is his name? Yeah, I really like his videos too, just how he shoots it. And but yeah, like I said, I really feel like because in Ontario, there's a lot of fishing when you talk about like the Great Lakes and stuff, or
Yeah.
going up north and fishing back lakes. But there's not a lot of people who are capturing the beauty of the river and what the river holds and the smallmouth that, because we do see, in the States, like Virginia, okay, the New River, the Juniata, the Susquehanna, like,
Exactly.
they got guys who are like river rats who are just capturing the immense
Yeah.
beauty and the fish that come out of it. And even for me, like, I fish Ontario, I fish upstate New York, I fished in Quebec, but the river aspect of it, like the small, skinny water, moving water, there really isn't. It's not being captured. You know what I mean? And that's even for my own Instagram page. Like, I want to capture smallmouth. Like my idea is not necessarily who, like, I have no interest in having myself. I would rather have the fish presented. Like, this is a river. This is like a river beauty to me. You know what I mean? Like, this is river smallmouth fishing. And I just find that, like, there's just not a lot of people that, are like it. Maybe there are probably loads of people who go out there and fish, but I don't see it as much as, as what you would see it down south. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. I've never understood that, because we have this amazing these amazing fisheries in Ontario. And I don't see people really, even if you go to the lakes, people aren't capturing them the same. It doesn't get that, like, this is what we were known for. You came through the Great Depression in the 30s, and earlier than that, Ontario was it. People going up to Algonquin Park when it first opened, and you read about these legendary guides that were up there, like Tom Thompson and Frank Kayak, and you had these people who were, and we seem to have lost that. It's kind of weird for me when I think about it. Like, how did we lose that part of us where we had entire economies and we had everything driven off this moving water and these small lakes and these bodies of water and these fish, but it just doesn't seem the same anymore.
I'm sure. I feel like, it will come. I don't want it to come too quick, but I just think, like, there's just so many beautiful small, like, people like, oh, there's no big smallmouth in there, and it's like, you don't think so? Like, you'll never know until you go out there and do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, oh, that area doesn't look fishable. You'd be surprised. If I bet you $20, you'd be like, nah, I mean, yeah. And and I'm sure you probably, like, even me, I've surprised myself. Like, I've surprised myself in how shallow I can find smallmouth.
Yep.
And I probably a season ago would have just walked right past it. And then I was like, no, and it's just like that one random time where I'm just like, and it's like, really? Okay. Like, I did not expect that. Why are you here right now? Why aren't you over there? You know what I mean? Like, and that's why
I ask myself that a lot.
Oh man, like, I don't know if other guys ask themselves that. I don't understand it. Like, I remember, like, I'll always start on one side in the morning and then I'll work my way across. And I'll be honest with you, it still surprises me to this day when I'm like, how are you, like, how are you in there? Like, why are you in there? There's nothing here for you, but yet you are here. So, and yet you're there. It's a hole, like a lonely, like, and yeah, it's, I don't know. I do a lot of reading, researching. I love, I don't know if you do this, but I always journal my adventure So I kind of like to sit back and write about, you know, that day, what was going on, you know, where the birds chirping, where, you know, what was going on the water. Cause there's a lot of times where, yeah, like I go out there and I'm why are these baits working today? And then I'll be like heading back and it's like, oh, that makes sense why the Z-Man Billy Goat was working. Well, look at all the frogs that are hopping around the shore. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. Definitely. Why was the S Pro Rat like such a hit today? Well, what did you see when you were crossing the river? 3 times I had seen garter snakes who were going across the river, small guys.
Yep.
And I'm throwing that rat. What does that tail kind of look like from the back? It looks like a garter snake that's going. Obviously, right. I don't have a lure I don't have a snake lure, which maybe I need to get one. But it's just like those things where and I'll journal that down, like, and it just starts to begin to click in my head, and like I always find, you know, the river's always changing. Like it's not like I don't want to compare this to a lake because it really isn't. But like you go to a lake, like the chances of you changing it, other than, you know, when it goes through its spell where, you know, it comes to the end of the season, you know, where the algae bloom begins, and the river's changing constantly. Like your depth is changing, like the flow, everything. And like, there's so much that comes down the river too. And I love to journal it and like just write it all down, you know, drop pins where I'm catching fish. Like it's such an easy thing. And I don't run electronics, so I can't really, you know, comment on that aspect of it. And so, but yeah, I don't know. Do you kind of do like the same thing? Like you kind of.
That's kind of what the videos started out as. The videos started out as my journaling. I mixed that with what Instagram had gave me, and I can review that when I'm putting them together. I'm kind of reviewing what happened, what was around me, what did I see there. I go back through the thoughts of why I threw why I was throwing what I was throwing, what I was doing at that time. I have somewhere I'm going. I go up to where I caught one, and I kind of look around afterwards. I just kind of review the area where it was. I'm like, okay, that was a lot shallower than I thought, or there's a stump over here.
Now, this would have been 2 years ago. You and I did a podcast together on the Catch podcast with Brad Hicks and Matt Souders.
Yep.
And you had answered a question, and the way it was answered is that you looked at Instagram as the back wall of the tackle shop. Correct. And I was like, wow, like that. I still, to this day, it's so true. And I really I really like that approach. And for me, it was like, that's why, like on my Instagram, like I love to showcase smallmouth. So I'm always showcasing the fish, not really myself. And it is true. Like you start to see when you're scrolling, like it's the same thing. It's like you're seeing all these people catching fish, you know, and it's like, yeah, like the back wall of the tackle shop. Like
that's what it is. You're walking and you see these hundreds of pictures of fish just plastered all over it, and it's the same idea. But we're all visiting the same tackle shop now, and it's kind of worked that way.
And even after you said that, like I remember going to this tackle shop that was by my old work. It was hunting, fishing in Ottawa. And yeah, dude, like it was so true, because on the wall behind the register, there was just photos of like deer, bear, moose, walleye, muskie, pike, bass, you know what I mean? And that's what it was. And I'm just like, yeah, it's like you nailed it. You know,
it hasn't changed at all. We're all still doing the same thing.
You know, it's just we're doing that now more on the social media side of things, which, you know, it's a digital age, so we might as well, you know, get with it. So, but yeah, no, like at the end of it, I just find like it for me, it's just one of those things that I enjoy the river. Like it's putting the puzzle together. But the
Exactly.
pieces are always changing, you know?
Yep. And it really, that's what it ends up being. You go out that morning, you go, okay, these are the three things I'm going to throw. What will they go for? Give me a hint what you want. Okay, you want something moving like that? All right, I can give you more of that. Then you just work through profile, color, size, and you just kind of work your way through everything until you find exactly what they're looking for.
Now, when you go out on the river, like how much are you taking? Like I generally take like I have two 3600s,
Yep.
and that's usually what I bring with a couple bags of plastics,
Yep.
and that's pretty well it. I don't really bring too much, and I might have. I usually lately I've been going about three. I bring three rods. I have gone more in the past. Like in the past, I've gone close to five. But I find I just kind of I'll go with three, and I just kind of cycle with what I have, and I don't really need too much from there.
That's exactly the same setup. I have a KVD speed bag with two 3600s in it. And then with that, I have plastics in there, whatever I'm going to need for trailers, and a couple swim baits. And that's everything I'm carrying that day. Then on the deck, it's going to be one medium heavy, a heavy, and a medium usually. Casting rod sometimes goes spinning. Depends on what I'm in the mood for that day.
Yeah, I usually go with one medium spinning rod or a medium light, depending on what I'm choosing to throw.
Yep.
And then I usually go with one medium heavy and then another medium heavy. I don't generally throw. I don't even think I own a heavy rod. No, I don't. I
have a
Even
heavy spinning rod.
I know. I think that's so cool. Like that's the that Daiwa Rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you don't really see heavy spinning rods anymore.
It's pretty versatile. That one, you can anything you want to throw on it, it'll handle it. You can go straight braid on it, and you can do all your moving baits on it without any problems. It'll just handle it all.
Now, what is the length of that? Is that a 7-foot
It's
rod?
a 7.3, I think. It's a 7 or a 7.3. I think it's a 7.3.
See, that's like I don't know. Me personally, I prefer 7'2" to 7'6". Those for me are just I do own 7-foot rods, but those are like my favorite lengths. Yeah, 7.3. That's a nice.
It's a perfect length. I like shorter rods though. I find myself gravitating towards those. I can get a bit more accurate, and depending on where I am, I can actually do some more damage with those.
Now I find that it's this time. So I find in the summertime I'm usually making long casts.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to get this bait as far away from me as I can. So I usually opt with a 7.6 spinning, and I'll usually run I 7.2, and then I'll have like a 7.5, but I would regularly run a 7.4. And I just find I can get these baits as far away from me.
Yep.
Where in the fall, I seem to kind of gravitate back more to like a 7-foot range.
Yeah, so how I set that up is when I want to move further away from me, it's when it's been cloudy and there's been some rain, so that in the summer that green algae kind of float out and that clear waters move back in.
Yeah.
Then I want to be moving away, because the more they can see, if I have high bluebird skies, my favorite time to be chasing the biggest smallmouth is when it's clear skies and I know they're going to be out and they can see forever. But when they can see forever, I've got to back myself off even more.
Yeah. For me, I I'm just I know when I'm working my way through, the further I can get that bait away from me, I just know I have a better chance than kind of getting into that spot and then spooking them, because I always find that's when you look down and it's like, oh, you just watch two dart away. You know what I mean? Like but yeah, that's for me. It is the setups that I generally bring. But yeah, I don't really want to bring too much with me. Why? Because when I'm waiting and you're pulling, you're dragging a kayak behind me, the more you have in it, the more you got to pull. Other than the basics, and that's more time. That's just, I find it probably is more noise too, so.
And that's why I go for those versatile presentations where I can put a handful of chatterbaits inside the box with some flashy swimmers and just carry the trailers for them. And I go back to say the single hook is for safety. I have a higher chance of hurting myself with the treble hooks. Everything I do is based on what I'm going to be doing and how little I can carry with me. That's how the decision making goes.
I'd be interested to know if we weighed our gear, like how much we actually bring weight wise. Have you ever done that just to see?
I have not. I should weigh that bag because I carry the same bag with me. I might make some small changes depending on if I'm in the mood to throw more mag draft style or whatever I'm doing with that. But yeah, I should weigh it sometime. It's not that much. I do not carry a lot of stuff with me.
Yeah, because like I have one plano that I would put like the freestyles in, or like some of my bigger glides in it. And I'm sure if I was carrying that, I would probably add a little bit of weight. But to be honest with you, compared to like even when I started fishing, like I would go out with a lot of stuff. Like I would, and over the years, I've just kind of no, And one of my biggest things I would say, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but I have gotten away from vertical rod holders, and I've gone more with horizontal rod holders, front deck, or the Yakutak Omega Pro. I like those on the sides. Jeff Little inspired me with those, and I can run 4 of those. And even if I do bring out my black pack, I don't have rod holders on that, and I'll have one actually I have 2 rod holders in the back, and I'll run a camera off the back of it. But yeah, just looking by your videos, you seem to keep up with that horizontal rod presentation also.
Yeah, I have one off the back, one rod holder off the back, and I'll have 2 of my rods up there with me usually. And that's how I've always worked it. So I have one if I want to switch up, if I need to switch presentations quickly, I can. Then I have one presentation sitting on the back at all times that if I want to switch to that one, or if I'm seeing the need to switch to that one, I can. So I end up honestly using 2 rods most of the day.
So now you're running 3, so you got 3 rods. So you're always going to have that one kind of rod also that's going to be that follow-up, let's say. Mm-hmm. But you live in Ontario, and I was curious to know, have you had any success shopping for your tackle at Dollarama?
Never tried it.
Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about this because my son and I had gone into Dollarama, and we were going through, and he's like, look at that. I'm like, that's like, they have Z-Man baits at Dollarama. I'm like, no way. And then he's like, look, they got chatterbaits too. And they had one of the CFL, it's a CFL, Z-Man CFL chatterbait there. And then they had like a bunch of like these little paddle tail swim bait.
Yep.
And I was like, for the price, I was like, you can't go wrong. And then all of a sudden they started carrying like Plano bags there, and they had like, the decent braid scissors. And so that's why I was wondering, like, what if I don't know if you, dude, you should check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah, like cool. I was impressed.
Yeah, that CFL chatterbait it's one of those sleepers.
The swing, it has that. So I've always enjoyed that because good luck trying to shake it. Like trying to shake that hook. Like that hook's going with the fish. It's not like the fish can try it and it's moving. Where like if you have a traditional chatterbait or like any other style jig where you have that attached hook, it is the chance of them shaking it off, it has happened, but I can't tell you the times that they've tried to swing, even the swing jig or the CFLs, and good luck, guys.
Yeah. Hold on. And the startup on that vibration is instant. You go to turn that handle and it is already starting up for you, which is what you're always looking. You want that instant startup and you want that hook that's not coming out, and that's what that offers.
There's nothing worse than a chatterbait that you're like, that's weird. Like it's not doing it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's right by, and it's like, you've reeled it in and it's just begun to vibrate. Like I would prefer it to like go all the way down or land wherever it's got to go and then begin to reel. Why? Because I want that thump. Like if it's like, 5 feet from the boat and now it's kicking up. No, it's like, it's no longer in the spot I want it to be.
That's exactly it. I need to know what my gear is doing, and that one I can trust. That one I know what it's doing. I know what it's going to do when it hits stuff. I'm not going to have to worry about it snagging as much because it does have the football head, and that's really everything in that. And that's same reason I go with the flashy swimmer. I know what it's going to do. I know it's not going to get hung up that easy. And when it comes back, it's going to be it's predictable.
Now, when you put your planos together, I'm just curious here because my last guest on the show, Ryan Parker, he spoke about having his planos or his tackle box. He has one for clear water and one for dirty water, and I was like, interesting approach. I have I have one for treble hook baits and I have one for single hook baits. And that's what it says on them. And that's kind of how I do it. Now, when you organize yours, what approach do you use? Are you using...
I just have one's going to be the swim bait hooks and a couple chatterbaits in there because that's going to take up the most weight and the most space. And that's the one I'm switching out the most. The other one's going to be something with treble hooks. I'll have my Nessies in there. I'll have some of my longer swim baits so I can just kind of keep them all separated. So I'll have one with longer baits and one with just kind of everything I need. So what would be considered terminal tackle, because I look at my chatterbaits as terminal tackle, and sometimes I will have a few of them rigged in the box ahead of time, so they're just all kind of sitting in there ready to go.
So, just going back, like we were talking before, about you got into kayak fishing, and then when did you kind of find out about, let's say, like OKBT, like you were like we were talking, you would do live events there. How did you get into that? Like, how did that start?
That was the COVID time. I started listening to Paddle and Fin. I started listening to more of the podcasts when I was driving to work. I had a longer drive and I'm like, well, let's listen to some of the bass fishing stuff. So I'd listen to Smallie talk. I'd listen to whatever Paddle and Fin had put out that week. I had them on constant play, and that's really what did it. Was kind of getting into that idea of the online tournament thing because KBF was there, and that just kind of where everything went from there.
So you get into the whole tournament vibe, and that kind of like you. For catching smallies like on the river, like we were talking, like you become pretty proficient at that. You did say that when it comes to fishing lakes and whatnot, like you placed in the top 10, but
everything went downhill from there. But yeah, it's it's honestly it's just a matter of I don't know if that how to put this right. Tournaments as they are right now don't always attract me as much as the idea of what Drew's doing.
Kayak Adventure Series, yes.
That's a different vibe. That's getting more back to rodeos. That's getting more back to what
Yeah, River
they're
Rodeo.
supposed to be.
River Bassin, yeah.
You still get that with OKBT to a certain degree, but it's that whole adventure end of it that kind of attracts me to that.
I feel like, okay, so for me, I'm in no way, shape, or form a tournament angler. I am not interested in tournaments at all.
Yep.
I have done them. I did KAO. I did the Ontario. What is that? Ontario Kayak Bassmasters. And yeah, you know, like it's for me. It's just I just didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed the going out there, the fishing, the spots. It was fun, but when it came to like having to, I don't know. My luck was not there.
Yep.
It just, for me, river fishing is where it is my home. Like that's so when Drew came out with the Kayak Adventure Series, I was like, that's pretty, like, that is, wow, okay, like that is going to be something really cool. And second season now, and he is like, wow, like he's really put stuff together. And it seems like everybody that goes there, they all say the same thing. They're just hanging out with their type of people. And I was like, interesting.
It goes beyond that too. Think about giving back to those communities. Do you think a lot of those communities are seeing the amount of people that come in on those days, that come and spend the money in those small towns that could probably use it? It's all these small parts of it that kind of add up to it being just a really cool idea.
Yeah, and I think too, like with what he did, and you make a really good point, is that like he's really showcasing not just kayak fishing, but he's showcasing places across the United States and these small towns, and just finding these really cool venues, but also offering the anglers and offering the people a chance to go and be like, have that opportunity to go and meet fellow river rats, go and talk with some of the guys that you follow, like the Achigan, like Josh and Jeff and the Dark Horse guys, stuff like that, you know, and like you have an opportunity to like be back in that community sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's go sit down and have breakfast with people.
Yeah, and talk fishing.
And talk fishing. Go fishing in the evening with them. Go see what's going on. It's just a really neat concept. There's been other ones that have kind of attracted me, like grubby style tournaments where you pick a day and you go out that day and everyone just kind of works through a weekend. There's just so many neat ideas out there for it that the standard tournament just doesn't attract me. But I think Drew's just...
No, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, Drew's just knocked it out of the park, honestly, with what he's doing down there.
I totally agree with that. Like he has definitely knocked it, even when it first came out, and now gone through the second trail of this. Like, yeah. And like I said, he just announced the 2026 lineup, and that is pretty impressive. I still like, and here I am talking about this, and I have not experienced one yet, but I would gonna do, try and get to one maybe next year, but we'll see.
I think so.
It would be cool.
Look.
Yeah, you got you got to get all the stars to align for that. But I think that's just one of the parts that's cool about it, and I hope it attracts more Canadians to want to go down there, more guys to go down and want to see, because like Drew will be down there, so you have a chance to actually like meet a lot of people that you might also follow online, or people you've watched their YouTube videos for years.
Yep.
I really think it's, like I said, it's really to bring the community back. But the one thing I found, what I really liked about like KAO, is they had where we could go out and we'd pick a day, and you would fish the lake that day, and it's not like there'd be 40 other guys out there, 40 other anglers, men and women. It would just be you and usually one other person out there, and I was like, cool, let's do this. And like I thought that was kind of a cool challenge, like a 1-day grind. You're by yourself. You know what other people are putting up.
Yep.
Now what can you put up? So yeah.
The thing is, that's what works here. In Ontario, we don't have the same access to the lakes, to our rivers. We don't have that same access they do in a lot of the states. Like if you're in southwestern Ontario, my area, you have most lakes are privately owned, or the area around them is privately owned, and you can't get onto that water. So those style tournaments work best because there's one access point. And you can't fit 100 people onto a ramp in the middle of in this area because it's just not going to happen.
Now, do you think that Ontario could potentially have its own river series?
I don't know if we're there. I don't know if we have the access still. I know one or two of the rivers that do still have those access points. Could we do it? Possibly. But I don't know if we... Yeah, you could do French, Saugeen, Grand. You could have about 4 or 5 rivers that would really show out, and you could separate them into different parts. So you could get away. You could probably do it.
So, kayak bass fishing, Chad Hoover came out with the river series.
Yeah.
That was, 2 years ago, I think.
Sounds right.
Yeah, and there was quite a few Ontario and I believe Quebec guys that actually put up some pretty good numbers. And then, of course, I believe one of my previous guests, Troy Wines, he was the one who became the river champion for KBF.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought he's bassing around on Instagram. Shout out to Troy, but yeah, no, and I was interested because I remember when it first came out, it was like a very it was its own thing. It wasn't part of it was KBF River Series, like river fishing only. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because nobody around here really. There's Kayak Bass Canada, which is, it has, and don't get me wrong, there's some serious bass that get caught in that, especially some big smallmouth. You have the OKBT stuff and some of the other, like the Kingston group is one of them.
Yeah,
I think there's a Kawarthas group too now. I think.
I didn't know about a Kawarthas one.
That
one doesn't excite me as much. The Kawarthas just don't excite me as much. I don't know what it is. I just can't get into that. It's just not the same. I do want to try the Rideau. If I'm going to do canals and that kind of locked water, I want to try the Rideau.
The Rideau, hey? You should come up.
Yeah, it looks like fun.
Yeah, the Rideau is definitely, you should definitely, if you come up, let me know. I'll definitely go out with you. So you get through tournament stuff, and then you decide that you're going to do the Achigan Smallie games.
Correct.
And the Smallie games, just walk us through it, okay? Because I know you have certain challenges you got to do.
Yep.
Like make up. Plus, there's you got to make your way around. Either originally you went around the board, was it not?
Right. So it depends on what year you're challenging it. So last year it was catching specific size of fish to fill the board as it goes forward. It gets progressively harder. First one you can get away with, I think it was 17 plus, and you had to catch couple 19s. Then you had to catch a couple 20s. Then you had to have at least one over 21 at one point. Each board got progressively harder, and you had to have 2 challenges that you had to complete each board. That was last year. That's when I completed, and that was tough. That was one of the hardest challenges I've ever faced, because you really are having to get out there and you're managing your water. You're figuring what's going to happen that day. Then you're trying to do these challenges like the Little Big Challenge. There's a lot going on. And that's really what... Oh, go ahead.
You're talking about managing water before. Like, how do you manage water? Like, this is like, I feel like there's some good knowledge nuggets in this.
Okay, so I keep one stretch that I know reloads well, that I can go back to time and time again. But I will always lay off that one for at least a 2-week period. And I segregate all my rivers into smaller stretches. So I know that if I want to go out for 2 hours, I can hit this one. Then I can go down to the next stretch and I can skip over them as time goes on. So I'll use either bridges or other landmarks as my break points.
Nice.
And I always try to leave 2 to 3 weeks between each one as I'm moving down. And then I'll switch over to rivers and I'll completely let that one river just totally cool off because there's not a lot of space. And when we have less water in those rivers, those fish can't move between spots anymore. They're locked. They're trapped between two sets. And though now that what used to be a river is turned into more of a pond. And you're having to really manage that as well. You're having to consider, okay, is it healthy for these fish to be caught as often? No, I'm going to have to back off now and come back later.
So you begin to walk through the management aspect of it, which is like a strategy within itself. And like, this is when you become pretty proficient with 3 rivers that you fish, that you begin to be able to lock down stretches, how you approach those stretches, how these stretches will work out on certain days based on, you know, the flow, based on the weather, based on, you know, X, Y, and Z. And so they have you going out there trying to catch, you know, 19s, 20s, 21s. Your biggest smallmouth so far is
21 and a half.
Wow. Giant.
And that's literally that was almost out of a puddle at that point. This is how low the water was last year when that one was caught.
Once again, it still surprises me. Like a 21 and a half inch smallmouth, and you're just living in a puddle. Like, just it was that. It like what was like? You got to walk me through this experience here. Like, walk me through that day. Like, you catch a 21 and a half inch smallmouth. Relive it right now. Let's see it.
So this one, I go down to an area called the Three Sisters. They're 3 almost identical holes. And it comes to a riffle. Super shallow at this point, almost nothing coming into it. Goes out into a lot shallower water, maybe 6 inches deep. So you have 3 very close together holes just connected by these chains. And I look into the one hole and I see a log of a tree that's been there for a bit because it had gotten pretty clear. We didn't have a lot of sunlight for a few weeks, and the daylight hours had started weighing down. I'm like, oh, I hadn't seen that there before. So I take it was on the flashy swimmer. I set myself up, cast over it, and I could actually watch it come out from underneath and attack once, and it didn't get that first time. So I'm like, okay, back off for a couple minutes, throw it again, and this thing was on. And I didn't realize how big it was. I knew it was a bigger than average fish. I didn't know how big it was until I had it in the net and it could barely fit. That's a sign.
Yeah.
I got a bigger net this year because of that.
Oh my gosh. Could you that's like the one, like, you know, you finally catch that big fish and then you're like, oh man, my net's not big enough. Like,
yep, that's pretty much it. I've had that with pike. I'm like, oh, this is a problem.
This is going to be a problem. Please do not break off this giant right now.
I had that this year a couple times.
Oh man. Now since then, and have you seen, like, in your rivers, like, you know, as you're going through, you know, you can kind of begin to get a rough size of the smallmouth that are in those stretches.
Yep.
But to find one in a puddle,
it was different. And there was more than one of them there. That was the weirdest part about this set of pools. It doesn't make sense. They're very narrow. They go a bit deeper, but there's not much to them. It just doesn't quite add up why they're so good. and why they always hold.
In your rivers, what is the main, like their main forage? Like, what are these guys feeding on down there?
Depends on the river. Saugeen, I've found that there's up to a certain size they're eating the crayfish. After the crayfish are done, they're on to trout. You go on to something like the Maitland, it's more, from what I can tell, shiners, because I do not catch them that often on the jigs. I've tried going off on those jigs or slower presentations, and I don't do as well. Going down to the Grand, they will feed on the crayfish, but there are parts of the Grand, like some of its tributaries, like the Nith. There are no crayfish in the Nith. Everything is minnow based in there, so you just get to know what the forage is based on what you see around them, and then I just kind of match to that.
As like for that size, you're fishing trout, like trout rivers.
Yep, all three of them.
You know
That's what they're eating. They're either eating that or creek chubs. Because once a fish gets to a certain size, a crayfish diet isn't going to do it.
No.
They get more similar to a brown trout at that point. When you get a fish over 20 inches, it's getting closer to being like a brown trout. It's going to eat 4 to 5 times a day.
Yeah.
And it's going to want the biggest, highest protein, highest fat that it can find. It needs energy to live. It's not going to get that eating crayfish. So when you look at these bigger fish, these bigger than average fish, go back to that diet. What are its requirements? It's going to need fats, proteins, and that's what it's going to need to survive.
Now, when it comes to throwing baits, do you like throwing jigs, or are you more on the reaction style of, the top waters, spinner baits, crankbaits, like stuff like that? Like what would you fall more, or do you fall more into the finesse side?
I'll go reaction. If I'm going finesse, it's going to be a shaky head at this point. And that's just because it's that longer presentation. I can have a bigger presentation off of it, and I can kind of imitate something feeding on the bottom. It goes back to, I want something that looks like a minnow profile. That bigger fish is going to be drawn to that.
So as you got through the Achigan games, the smallie games, as you began to finish that board, do you know if anybody else in Ontario did that?
No. Joey DiCenzo came close, I think, but I don't think he did the challenges to go with it. So he had the size of fish. I think he filled the entire thing with 21s and 20s. 4 boards just completely stacked with those.
He fishes what, Lake Ontario?
He does he does a lot of tournaments. So he's doing Simcoe, he's doing Ontario, he's going down stateside. And he's really, him and his partner, Joey T, the two of them are just amazing. And I'm looking forward to see what they do in the future. But yeah, I think I was the only one to finish that year.
So as you finish that, you become a bronze master.
Indeed.
And you said it, man. Like, I remember when we were talking about you doing this, and you're like, you'd mentioned that this was something you're thinking of doing, and I was like, cool. That's pretty interesting. Okay, that's a big challenge, there's a lot of big guys that come out in that. You got guys like Ryan Dahl, that guy goes, that guy exactly. I feel like he just puts his hand in the river and he just there's a 20, right
unreal.
off the bat.
They're doing it in Ohio, and Ohio is not known for the biggest of the biggest, but I'll tell you this, that state puts out some amazing anglers.
It really does. And some of those guys, we can definitely call friends there too. And I would say it is impressive, the lineup that they have. Even guys you look at Randy Long.
Yep.
Randy Long, he has his in smallie games, I'm pretty sure Randy Long, it was the Republic of Randy Long because he was his own country. Yeah, he's his own state, the Commonwealth of Randy Long, but like, for you, I would say it would be the Commonwealth of Thomas Paleczny. It would be, his own, because like, yeah, like, man, like, and it's cool. Like, it's like you represented Canada, and like, I'm sure a lot of those dudes down there were probably sweating a little bit because they're like, oh, like I did.
So there was 2 of us fishing on Ontario, and I think we came in 3rd overall on length with just 2 people putting fish up.
And if you go like up here, like you would say that the fish are more like they're wider than they are longer. Where like in Virginia, those fish are they have length to them, but they don't have like the size isn't real, like the width isn't, the shoulders aren't there. Where like up north, like they have the shoulders, like they are big fish. Lengthwise is length is a little bit different. We get those hogs. So what did you get with that? Like, do you get a trophy? You get a belt?
You get the challenge coin. You got the toque with the markers on the back. What else came in that pack? Special edition of the munchie. This is kind of cool. It steals too much of you.
Have you fished the munchie at all?
I have.
And
it's a pretty cool bait. It's a bit more difficult to use. I ended up fishing it more like a tube style because I'd pop it off the bottom. I'd pop, bring it up, and then let it float back down. But it's pretty neat.
Okay, so is that the nose hook one or the belly
nose
hook? Yeah,
nose
okay.
Hook.
I have not fished it yet. I did order one just because like I kept saying, like, every time I'd see they do the munchie drop, and then I would be online the next day and I'd be like, oh, that was yesterday. Damn it, So somebody gave me a little insider tip and said there's going to be a munchie drop. So I said, okay, I got to get with this. But yeah, I'm interested to fish it. How do you fish the munchie? Like the munchie though, like rod setup. Just curious. Do you throw it on?
I'm fishing that on my that heavy spinning because it is a beefy bait.
See, that's what I seen a couple guys who were fishing it on a casting, obviously, and then I thought, man, that could be like because I usually throw flukes on spinning gear. And to me, that thing kind of I know it's got a little bit of both in it, but I just saw like medium heavy spinning would be like, a rod to throw it on.
Yeah, you're up north. You're allowed to throw spinning for almost everything. It's okay.
And I'll be honest with you, for a long time, that's all I ever threw was spinning. Like spinning. Like the fact that like I see like guys like Jeff Little who like throw a lot of spinning, that's like I can really relate to that because like
he's
there's a lot of
baits on spinning gear.
Like I throw the Mini Max. I will throw the Mini Max chatterbait on a 7'6" spinning rod. Yep. And I'll throw it on like on my 7.2. Why? Because like I can get that. I could even throw an Evo on it if I really wanted to, and I have in the past. But I don't know, through the evolution of fishing and being like, oh, bait casting, that looks really cool. I want to try that. Like I got to try this. Like I'm not as accurate with bait casting as I am with spinning.
Same spinning. That's why I go to the shorter rods.
I can spin like I can skip baits with a spinning rod. Like I've done it enough fishing around the cottage, around docks and stuff, where I had to get because if not, you'd hear like shoom, and it would be like, oh, I'm pretty sure I just like I lost that one there. Where I can just get it to go and it's underneath the dock, So for me, it was a it's where I guess I'm more comfortable with. But the problem is the type of rods that I like when I go to like for my action and my power, you don't always find that in spinning rods.
No, you got to go to the Japanese ones to find it. And that's really what it's come down to. Everything we have for spinning is extra fast. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want everything to be moderate action. Just give me everything in moderate fast, and I'll be fine.
Moderate fast to moderate rods are all I need. They're the only rods that I own.
It's everything. That's it.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. I think that medium light, the 7.6, yeah, the 7.6 is a fast. But I'll be honest with you, like it's hard. So when you're looking at rods, so then I was like, okay, well maybe I'll try the bait casting thing, and you can get like moderate fast bait casting rods, no problem. Yep. Spinning, I don't know. Is it an industry thing? Like I don't really understand why.
Even with moderate rods, they don't want to move to it here. But if you go to those Japanese, if you go to Daiwa and you go to Shimano, they're both starting to bring those more Japanese actions over here. So you're getting that better rod here.
I want to say G. Loomis does.
Yep.
And I want to say Temple Fork Rods has a couple. Now, what about that Daiwa heavy spinning? Is that a moderate fast rod?
Regular.
Okay, yeah.
So that's similar to a moderate fast, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And a lot of Japanese rods are there. Regular action. It's good.
Yeah. That's why when I see rods, it's like, oh, cool. Like not the right one for me, No. I don't know. I probably could go out with more spinning rods than anything. Like, I'll be honest with you, but then again, I do carry casting.
I do casting just because I like throwing co-poly line. I'm not going to get away with that on the spinning rods.
You really, yeah. So that was a switch that you made, hey? Like you decided you were just gonna how did you start? Like obviously you probably started out with mono and then you switched over to braid and then you went to
it was braid. I think I started braid. Tried mono on a couple, tried straight fluoro. It didn't quite feel right. When I went to the co-poly, I want that stretch. For me, it's all about keeping that hook where I want it. I can have a fish barely hooked and still bring it into the net with co-poly on. Yeah, hooks are so sharp now that you don't have to worry about a Mondo hook set on them. They're gonna be placed properly. If that fish if it's bending the rod, that hook's where it's supposed to be.
100%.
So if you've got that part done, you've won that part of the fight. The next part is getting it to the boat. Straight braid for me gets really uncomfortable. It's like driving a car with no shocks. It's you feel everything, but you feel everything. And on a fish that is actively trying to kill you, it's not a fun situation when it's taking your joints out along with it.
Yeah, it's they pull you right around. I'm sure that did you catch that 21.5 on spinning or casting?
Casting. That was a casting setup. That was a medium moderate.
There you go. Just taking you for the ride.
It did.
I could only imagine. So when it comes down to your adventures and the way you're getting out there, do you find that as an angler, you're beginning to learn more and more every time you're getting out there? Do you find you're still kind of like, oh, I never would have thought of that. You know what I mean? Like I find every time I go out there, it's just like there's little things that I'm like, I never really thought of it that way. And I'm like, it's like I always learn something new when I'm out there.
Yeah, I'm always learning something new on the river. It teaches me something every time. From how I'm throwing presentations, what direction I'm coming from, what I was throwing over, how they're setting up, how they set up next to something. What is the bank telling me? Sometimes the answer's up there. Sometimes it's in the water. It's just a matter of becoming even more aware of what's happening around me on the river. Because the answers aren't, when you're looking at a lake, your answers are under the water. They can be up along that bank.
Yeah.
but
For
I'm
sure.
looking at this bank, the other bank, how that river's coming across, how the flow's coming, what direction the water's flowing. All these things kind of add up, and you've got to put all that together to really get it effective.
It's like I said, a lot of the times before I get on the river, I'm already like, really looking at what is going on around me in my environment. Like
Yep.
what and this year I've been graced with just about every time I go on the water. I don't know if it's maybe an eagle's nest that's being built there or that's just their home, but every time I head out and I begin to paddle out, this bald eagle takes off from this tree and it just soars. Like its wingspan is insane. And it's just like I don't know, like it's just something special about that. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
I don't know. He's usually in the direction that he goes. Usually the bite is followed that direction.
Yep, that's true. Seeing herons, if I see them, I know I'm going in the right direction. If I see an eagle, if I see those kingfishers, depending on what I see, I know something's good's going to happen there. Now, if I see cormorants, I got to get away from that area right away because I know those things scare fish off. I think, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, those things are, yeah, those things they stink like fish. Like they are not. I know a couple guys that they actually go out and hunt those, and they're like, yeah, they're
nasty.
Gross. But I think one of the other things that I wanted to touch on was you paddle. I am a paddler. I love paddling. And I think it's really cool to see that, there's still people out there who are like, diehard paddlers who still like to get out there and literally paddle and cast. You know what I mean?
Yep.
What is that? Like, why still paddle in a world where, it is very, I don't want to say it's pro motor, but, it seems like many communities now in kayak fishing, it's very motor influenced. You know what I mean? Like it is, everybody's got the Torpedo or everybody's got the Newport or you got guys who have, done a DIY on their own setup. And I still can't get myself to be like, yeah, the motor would probably be handy, but it just wouldn't be the same for me.
No. On my rivers and where I want to fish, the paddle makes the most sense. Because it's a lot of extra weight to carry down. There's a lot of extra stuff that's going to go with that. And one of the reasons I stick with paddling is the fact that, honestly, Crescent gave me a boat that was designed to be paddled first. And when you're dealing with that's a big deal. You have a kayak whose hull was built to paddle. It's narrower than other fishing kayaks. The length is where it is. It has the keel that'll run the entire length. It makes a difference for me. That's kind of why I went with that whole idea.
Now, which Crescent is that one?
So the CK1 is that all arounder. That thing will handle everything. The ultralight also has the full length keel as well. When you move into the shoalie, it still has the last third or so of it as keel, so it will lock in. It will lock in nice and straight. It will paddle fast. I've been on the water paddling, and I've outperformed guys with pedals. I can outspeed them with the paddle because it is designed to be moved. It is a very fast hull.
I find too that for me, paddling, it's just part of the adventure of being out there.
Yeah.
and I don't want to take away from, anybody else's, wanting to be a kayak angler, and it's however you choose to enjoy your time on the water, I think is the most important. But for me, it is, it's paddling. Like it's part of the adventure. It's I don't know, it's a workout. Like I got into kayak fishing and I loved kayaking, and I was like, well, if I'm out here paddling and just kind of doing my thing, and I got a rod with me and I can fish, cool. Like this is I'm doing something I like, and I'm also doing some physical activity here, and I'm not getting any younger.
I'd love to be able to do a pedal kayak, but I'm not organized enough up front to have more stuff up front with me. I'd be like rods sitting here, rods sitting there. If you take a look when I do my videos, it's just rods and nets up front.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a Drew Gregory setup there. Like, you can tell he's got like all of his rods lined up in the front. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
he's got it, and he's just cycling through stuff. I went to a pedal drive, and I really missed all that nice space I had in the front with my other kayak. And that's that
was one of the other requirements for my kayak. I needed space up front. I knew that. I know how
space.
I can't live without it now.
And to be honest, like even when I'm out there, it's like I like to have it a certain way, obviously, but I always like my rod presentation in my kayaks to be in the horizontal. I don't want my rods to be vertical, because I've learned many times where, I've had, a rod get stuck up in a tree, or I've been put, or it really, to be honest with you, it just adds more of a wind sail effect, and it just pushes you all over the place. Now, do you use any anchors or anything like that out there?
No. I don't want anything extra dangling into the water. That's the problem with them, is if I'm in that moving water, I don't want to have that mistake of having something sitting underneath me. I've tried drag chains, didn't take.
So I shouldn't say I made a really cheap little drag chain, and I used it once, but never really got into using it again. And I always thought like, oh, it would just get stuck, and then I would be hooked on something. Then you got to get your trusty knife out and cut the line, So
I just can't have that. I don't want to hurt myself doing that, because for me that frightens me. I go over a lot of trees. I go areas where I'm going to get snagged up. I'm going to get drawn under, and I don't want to deal with that.
I think one of the things that I find about the paddling aspect of it is that it is more on the side of adventure. It's like what kayaks were meant to do. You were meant to paddle. You know what I mean?
And I think that's it. Maybe have we lost that? Maybe
I don't know. Like I don't know. Like how do I answer this one? All right. This is what I think. I think there's a lot of people coming into kayak fishing, and I think everybody's like, "Oh, cool. I'm going to get a motor, and I'm going to put a motor on the back, and that's how I'm going to fish." That's cool. And I'm going to buy a paddle. Oh yeah. Don't worry, I'm going to bring it with me every time. But you have no paddling skills.
Right. That takes time to develop. Even if you're not 100 correct in your paddling and your form, get better, get good enough at it that you can do a draw stroke, that you can maneuver your boat the way you want it.
Yeah, and
to be able to.
It's the idea is batteries don't last.
That's true.
And the moment you have to paddle back from wherever, good luck, you know?
I think part of it is the influence of the tournaments on kayak fishing,
I really do
where
too.
we've moved away from the fishing end of it and moved into that tournament competitive side. They see the romantic side of that and they go, well, that's where I want to be. I
Yeah.
need this to do that. And they go, well, if you're just fishing, go for that.
That very well said, because I do feel like, you know, it is this idea like, and you got to look at some of these kayaks. You know, you got Bonafide, you got Wilderness Systems, and like I'm like some of those are like almost starting to be like mini John boats.
They're getting there. They are John boats. You can sit there and go, no, but you're getting close to the same dimensions. If I'm gonna tire myself out paddling that thing 10 feet, we have a different discussion to have.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, and like it's how people want to go out there. But I just find that when it came to paddling skills, you know, those are things that you should really know, and you should really understand how much weight you're paddling. And I find that a lot of people just assume that, you know, their whole setup, whether it's, you know, the Torqeedo Newport or a homemade DIY project, do it yourself, it's like kind of lost. Like you don't really understand how much weight you have back there, and the chances of you actually paddling or learning how to paddle, or like, you know, also in the event that you flip this whole thing, like I would be interested to know, like some of those newer, almost John boat size kayaks, like if you flip that, if it does flip,
you're getting back over.
How are you getting that back over? I'd be interested.
You're not. There's no way. You don't have enough counterweight to get that back over.
Like
you can sit there and try and kick that back. It's not happening. I can't see it.
I can't see you being able to flip all that over. And like if you have all the screens and the black packs and all that, it's all resistance. Like I don't know. I remember last year I went to a Hard Knocks meetup, and there was a gentleman there, and he had a really awesome bonafide setup. And he had a Minn Kota or Motor Guide. I think it was a Motor Guide on the front. And he had like, dude, like this thing was decked out. Like it was a nice setup, nice trailer. Like I was like, wow. And then his motor died on him when he was out there, and he had to paddle all the way back. And I was just like, and like he was, I won't lie, like the guy was like pretty distraught by the time he got back. Like he would be. He was not expecting that, because he, like, everybody just relies on the idea that like, oh, I got a battery. It's never gonna.
Yeah, that's 200 pounds of kit you're paddling back.
There you go.
That's without you. I mean, you put resistance with that. You put some chop in that water, a little bit of a wind, and it's gonna be a rough day.
And so I don't know. Like I said, I see a lot of it, and I always think back to, like, you know, paddling, you know, kayak safety.
You lose that ability to go to a low seat too. You get those bigger kayaks; those are fixed high seats, and I'm like, no.
Low
because
seat.
When I get in real trouble, I want to be able to kick down that seat right down to the bottom of that kayak and actually have the power there and that extra stability.
I always having like my Liska, I like it's a high-low seat, so it's the pedal drive is not, it is a high seat. And then obviously, like, you have your traditional Pelican boats that, you know, most of them are just a low seat. But I just find, yeah, like being able to change your seat from high to low it's there to help you.
It's power and stability. If you get into some choppy situations, that low seat position with that extra power, with that extra stability is what's going to save you.
So I just feel like if you're going to get into kayak fishing, and I hope you do, because there should be more people doing this. And this is how we keep people in the sport. I think, though, that you should definitely do a paddling course if you can, or just get out there with somebody who knows how to paddle, like somebody from a local paddle shop or whatnot, or hey, got questions, come ask. I love talking about this stuff. Jeff Little has tons of videos on this stuff too. YouTube is your friend. Use it. Jeff is always giving out knowledge nuggets. But yeah, like I just think those are just like the essentials, other than having a PFD and learning how to re-enter. But yeah, no, it's one of those that I would say needs to be, I think, talked about a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So as we come down to the end of this podcast, I'll let you take it over, as you can let people know where to find you, shout out any sponsors or stuff like that. Bronze Master.
All right. Yeah. You find me at River Smallies on both YouTube and Instagram. If you're looking for a great kayak, head up to Live Outside up in Bracebridge. Great place to head up to. They had a great selection and everything you need up there. As for your sponsors, I'm a big fan of Yak Attack. My roto grip is the one thing that's going to be on every kayak I will ever have, for sure.
The roto grip is awesome. Like I for my net, it's great. I've used it as a rod holder, paddle holder. I've gone and actually added bungee cords to it. Like these little I don't know if the bungee term is the right, but yeah, I use a smaller bungee cord on it, and they're great. My favorite Yak Attack product, the Omega Pro rod holder, is one of my favorites, and I have lots of those. The Black Pack, I'm interested to see if they come out soon with some more back, like they have the dry bag and stuff like that. That's, I don't know, I do like having a crate in the back, but sometimes I don't really need to have a crate in the back, and I just would rather have
want something hanging off my seat.
Yeah,
I just want a seat back. That's it.
And I'll be honest with you, I've tried different things, but I can't ever get it. I had one that was too big of a bag, and I felt like every time I was going backwards, and I was like, oh, this is not so. But yeah, no, Yak Attack's got really awesome stuff. But as the end of this podcast, I'm your host, Adam Cross. My guest tonight, Mr. Thomas Paleczny, River Smallies, Ontario. Go find him on both YouTube and Instagram. Like he says, he is our Ontario Bronze Master. He is the champion of River Smallmouth in the eyes of the Achigan brand. And dude, thank you so much for coming on by the podcast. It has been awesome. I appreciate you all the time when you got knowledge nuggets to give. And dude, I look forward to having you on again.
Very nice. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. And I look forward to it in the future.
All right, dude. I'll see you soon. Ciao.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk of adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching The Noob Show with Matt Gibson, Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, The Rusty Hook with John Rapp, The River Run with Adam Fraser Pross, May Contain Fishing with Daniel Woodcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery, Friday Night Bites with Brian Schiller. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and